All right, y'all, as you can see, what I've done, it's probably hard to see out through there, but I've got me a stake in right here, and I've pulled me a string, and sometimes I do that if I want my rows straight. They don't necessarily have to be straight, but it makes it a little more manageable. But I've got my string, and I've got it staked off, and then you'll look, I've pulled a little fur out through there. What we're getting ready to plant is spaghetti squash, and butternut squash, spaghetti squash, stuff like that. I'm gonna plant this same way. Now some people, they like to put theirs in a hill, but this is some really good well-drained soil, and we're gonna plant a half row of this spaghetti squash right here in this furrow. Now Michelle's out here helping me today, and if you'll notice, she's placing these seeds about 6 inches apart. And I'll probably go back and thin those things out to about 12 inches between plants. I want them to have plenty of room to grow. But we're going to space them a little bit close because some of them may not come up. So I'd much rather thin a few out than have to go back and try to plant the skips later. So we've got them in the furrow, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to reach right under there, and let's go from the other side, make it a little easier. But I'm going to take and pull just a little bit of dirt over them, not a whole lot. About a ½ inch is all you need to 3/4 of an inch. You could plant them 1 inch deep. It'll just take a little longer for them to come up. I'm just going to pull a little bit of dirt. Make sure I get all them seeds covered up because I don't want the blackbirds and the blue jays to get them. Just like that right there. And then I'm going to take the back of my hoe and I'm going to just tamp that down. And the reason I do that is I want that seed to have good contact with the ground. And then once we get them tamped in like that, we'll take the hose and water them in and wait for them to come up. All right, guys, there's a 70-foot row of squash. Half of it spaghetti squash and half of it butternut. Those are vining squash plants, so they're going to sprawl out on the ground. We're going to give them plenty of room to grow right there. And those squash, they will hold well through the winter time. I've harvested them in the late summer and the fall and kept them plumb to February, March of the next year. All right, now we're gonna move this thing. We're gonna go 4 foot up, and I like 4 foot because I can cultivate the rows with my old tractor. And it gives you a little space for picking. You're not too crowded. So we're gonna move this thing 4 foot up, and we're gonna draw another row. Now the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure down. Anytime I start guessing about the distance between my rows, I end up all whoppy-jawed one way or another. But so we're gonna pull the tape and get this next stake set. Now guys, one little trick for you is my old hoe here. If you'll look, I've got a piece of tape on there, and that piece of tape is exactly 4 foot down that handle, and that makes it real easy for me to move my stake up the hill 4 foot. All I have to do is come down here and just lay it right there, and then of course pull my stake up. I'll take the string off of it, stick it in right there, and that's 4 foot up from where it was at just a moment ago. I'm gonna do it on the other end. Now all we're gonna do is we're gonna take, let me raise that up just a little bit. Don't want it dead on the ground, might get out of line, but just take your healing hoe and just run out through there, follow your string. I'm just trying to keep that whether you want it in the center or I run my string to the top side, but it gives me room to work. And I'm gonna just keep pulling that row. Just keep right on going. Pull it right out through there. Don't dig real deep. You don't need to. We're just making a fur. All right, we got a fur. Let's drop in a few seeds. Now what me and Michelle's gonna do, this particular garden right here has several different microclimates. And so what we're gonna do, my cages for my cucumbers are 8 foot long. So we're gonna plant 8 feet of cucumber, and then we're gonna plant 8 feet of squash, and then we're gonna plant 8 feet of zucchini. And we're gonna repeat that throughout this whole row in the garden. And that way, if this end, like I said, gets a little bit more sunlight, but we're gonna let the cucumbers and the squash tell us what area in the garden that they prefer. But to make sure that we have a good crop, we're gonna space them out like that, and we think that's gonna work real good. And that's 8 foot. Now, just for giggles, at every 8 foot interval out through here, Michelle's gonna plant a marigold. And that does two things. One, those marigolds, they've got a smell that they say helps run off squash bugs, cucumber beetles, and stuff like that. And then every 8 foot, as we go out through here to harvest, every 8 foot we'll have a little smile. So let's get some stuff in the ground. Now Michelle's spacing these seeds roughly about 6 inches apart. And if we feel like we need to, then we'll go back and thin them out. But that may not be necessary on these cucumbers. It may be necessary on the squash. All right, while she finishes placing those seeds and getting a little marigolds planted, let's cover them up. Here again, this is not no great big seed, so we're not going to put a whole lot of dirt over it. And I'm going to just pull a little dirt over it. They'll come up. You know, don't get them too deep. That'll make them take a long time. If anything, I'm a little bit impatient. But we're going to put a little bit of, maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch dirt on them, and then we're going to tamp them in just like that. And I'm going to go right behind her and finish out this whole row. All right, guys, well, we've got our squash in the ground and got our pretty little flowers spaced out through them, and we're ready for some rain. Now they're calling for some rain tomorrow, but just to make sure that these seeds get off to a good start, we're going to get the hose and we're going to water them in. Now I'm not going to flood the row. I don't want to wash my seeds out, But I'm gonna just put a little moisture down, put a little around those plants that she planted, and we'll get them off to a good start. And looking forward to some squash, some zucchini, and some cucumbers. So I appreciate you watching. I hope that this helps somebody. This is not the only way to do it, but here where we're at, we've worked this soil for years, and it's got plenty of sand, and it drains real well. My grandma, she always planted squash and cucumbers in hills, but this is the way I choose to do it, and it seems to work out for us. So there again, thank you for watching the channel. This is a Piedmont gardener. Y'all have a good day.